This is a short story about an adventure we took in 1999 to the magnificent Hinchinbrook Island in the Great Barrier Reef, Australia. It's a perilous journey, to say the least. Listen to the very end to see how we survived the predators on and around the island. It's based on actual events, and some names have been changed. But let's begin. Hinchinbrook Island Perils, North Queensland, 1999. I glanced back behind us to see the big croc slip into the water. We were about the length of 2 swimming pools from the shore by this stage. I'd say around 100 metres. I was really paddling hard now in the double kayak, Len in front and me at the back. "That huge croc has just slid into the water, Len," I said. "Let's paddle really fast to get out into the salt water. Hopefully he's a freshie and won't like the salt." "Yeah, once we're out in the salt water, we'll lose him," replied Len. "He's probably a freshwater croc from the estuary, not a salty." We had spent the morning assembling the 2-man expedition kayak from its carry bag on the boat ramp at Dungeness. We had travelled up from Mackay the day before with an overnight stop at Townsville and then on to Lucinda this morning to start our trip over to Hinchinbrook. Putting the kayak together had been uneventful, but just as we packed all our camping gear down into the hatches of the kayak, we saw an enormous crocodile come up onto the sand about 50 metres away. "Shit, Len, we better get out of here," I said. "Is everything packed in the boat?" "Yeah, let's push off into the water and head over to the island. I don't think it will follow us," Len replied. But the old croc did follow us, and I'm acutely aware that the outer skin of our fabric kayak is not crocodile-proof. We paddled without looking back for an hour, way into the salt water and in the general direction of George Point on the southern tip of Hinchinbrook Island. The island lies just off the east coast of North Queensland in the Great Barrier Reef National Park. Hinchinbrook is a World Heritage listed island, and we are starting a 5-day paddle up the east coast of the island and then around the top, coming into the mainland back at Cardwell. We must have shaken off the croc because we didn't see him again, thank goodness, and after another 2 hours of solo paddling, we were coming into the beautiful Mulligan Bay to camp for the night. We brought the kayak up onto the wide expanse of sand and secured it up near the tree line at the high tide mark. We found the hikers' campsite not far away. It was a campsite on the Thorsbourne Trail. This is a popular walking and camping trail along the east coast of the island, but there was no one camping there this night. "What are those lockable chests for?" I asked Glenn. "They're for the hikers to lock their food into every night. If you leave any food in your tent, the large rats can smell it and eat their way through your tent to get the food," Len replied. We made sure after we'd eaten that night to take all our food back to the kayak and store it securely inside the hatches to stop the rats on the island from getting it. We were just settling down in our tent in the darkness among the trees when we heard grunting and rustling. Len shone his torch out and we saw a huge feral pig about 200 metres away. Next to this large pig appeared some smaller wild pigs. "Oh no," said Len. "Looks like we camped a little too close to this pig's family home." We couldn't move our campsite now because there was no moon tonight and it was very dark. It wouldn't have been safe to move our tent without plenty of light. Len had brought along his spear gun, hoping to go snorkeling and catch us a few fresh fish along our journey. It was our only defence if the big wild boar decided to charge the tent. Len set up the spear gun, ready to fire, with the spear protruding out of the entrance to the tent. We tried to get some sleep, hoping that the feral pig family will be doing the same. We survived the night, apart from waking up a few times to loud rustling and grunting nearby. Lucky the food was safely locked away down the hatches in the hull of the kayak. The next few days were fabulous. Paddling to Zoe Bay, walking to the falls, and then onto Black Sand Beach. Len decided to go snorkeling with a spear gun to see if he could catch anything. I sat on the beach, watching and relaxing. Suddenly, I could see a huge shadow in the clear waters about 100 meters further out from Len. I saw Len move very quickly towards the shore, and in lightning speed he was out of the water and up the beach near me. "I'd say that was a huge reef shark, Alice," Len said. "No more spearfishing today. We'll have to have one of our dehydrated instant meals tonight instead." We managed a side trip to Gould Island for our last night. Then we were paddling into Cardwell. We noticed the boat ramp was very muddy. There was no golden sand to bring the kayak up onto at the mainland. I jumped out of the kayak close to the ramp to try and direct the boat up onto the ramp, but I slid into the muddy mangroves and started to sink down. It was like quicksand. The more I struggled, the further down into the mud I went. Luckily, Len was still in the boat and could haul me back up into the kayak. "There go my thongs into the mud," I said. "I have to buy a new pair in Cardwell." We pushed our way up onto the solid boat ramp using the paddles instead for the second attempt. No more putting my feet in that sinking mud, I thought. We made it back safely up onto the boat ramp and found our lodgings for the night. A hot shower was amazing, and we realized we had survived the big croc, the wild pigs, the shark, and the sinking mud to arrive safely at our destination, with only our bodies covered with sandfly bites to show for it. Such are the perils of Hinchinbrook Island. That's the end of the story. Thanks for listening. For more stories like these, go to my YouTube channel at Dr. Diane Leslie Webster and see my recently published novel of short stories titled 4 Ways to Die at Riverside Towers. Enjoy your day today, doing something that inspires you.